Abarera Legos Ram Ori Banish C10 Demonio Dinaja 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 Abarera
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to Adversary of my Adversary. Sorry for last week for skipping out on you guys, but we're here. We're here. Hi, how's it going? Welcome, hail, and all that fun stuff. You can see the creepy fucking mongoose thing, because little tree sap decided to say that it was the mascot for the show, and so it must make an appearance in the beginning. There is its appearance. Now
Mwah.
you can...
He hates it when I do that.
Huh?
You hate it when I do that.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. So, kiss the mongoose.
Kiss the mongoose! I've been trying to get him to kiss the mongoose.
No, if you don't want the mongoose to go out the window... like, if you'd like to keep it in the house...
He is kind of like, he smells quite bad at them. Like, not bad, but just like really dusty. Like, yeah, he smells more like dust than ever before.
He smells like an old, dirty, plastic Christmas tree. So, yeah.
I can feel all the dust particles going up my nose. We were just looking at pictures of mongooses, cute ones, and I think mongooses are really cute.
That's awesome.
Well, you were looking at them too. Don't act like you don't secretly love mongooses, if that's the plural term.
That is a good question, though. Would that be the plural term? Because a goose is geese.
Mongoose.
Right? It would be mongoose, no? Right, exactly. Mongoose. Right? So that is what it would be. So...
Hi, Mo.
See, I wouldn't pronounce that Mo. I would.
Well, that's what it says. That's her name.
I would go mwahaha. That's you know that's.
For fuck's sake.
It's like hello mwahaha. Moon. So I mean that's what I would do. Will mongoose be a logo? No. I'm not designing it. I won't. I'm not going to design it. So yeah, that's not going to happen.
Adversary of my mongoose. Mongoose of my adversary. The adversarial mongoose.
The mongoosal adversarial. What does that mean? Absolutely nothing. It's just making shit up. It sounds interesting. It's... Wait. Moharit? What? I'm American, so like my pronunciation on things is
really, really bad.
Okay, all right.
He can't say the name Barry. Like if he can't say Barry, he's not going to be able to say Mo. Like he can't say Barry. He goes Berry. Say Barry.
Barry. Well, I mean, it's like, okay, so she does this thing, like, so, like, she tries to correct me on saying Barry, because I'm saying Barry wrong, right? But she can't either, because she goes, blueberry. Like, it's not a fucking U, it's not Burry, it's Berry, blueberry. It's like, what the fuck, man?
Ah, touche.
All right. Anyway, aluminium. Yeah, aluminum. Aluminum.
Aluminium.
Aluminum.
Aluminium.
Overcomplicating it. Yeah, we could probably do an entire episode about like the things that we think each other pronounces incorrectly.
It's a daily topic of conversation.
It is. you know, and I mean, it doesn't like bother me at all, but I like being an ass. So like, I'll point them out. I'll point it out regularly. See, but that's not really like pronunciation though. That's just spelling, right? So like that is a little weird. Like I don't understand why there's a fucking U in color. Like,
Favorite as well.
Yeah, like that doesn't make any sense to me. We try. We try. So, you know, it's yeah, it's fun. It's fun to poke fun, but as long as like the other one knows like it's a joke, right? Like I don't do it like if she's like in a bad mood or something like that. Like I don't do it because then I don't want to unintentionally become the target of like, you know, irritation, which she's really good at. Like I don't think I've ever met someone that is so ridiculously self-aware. Like I mean it's disgusting, but in a good way, how self-aware she is.
Why is it disgusting? You're disgustingly self-aware.
As an adjective, right? It's not like actually disgusting, like ew, like no, but like
Ew, you're so self-aware.
right? You know, but you know, it is kind of funny though. Like, I mean, it's like, wait, she might sacrifice. Yeah, you never know. So, I mean, that could be why there's that giant hook in the middle of the ritual room.
Giant hook.
Shh, play along.
Oh.
There is no giant, you know. Yeah.
You're disgustingly cute.
Oh, yeah.
See, that makes sense.
It does.
Disgustingly self-aware doesn't.
Yeah, it does. The same thing. It just means like a lot. It's a random adjective.
Okay.
Right? Like instead of like using the normal like, oh, you're ridiculously self-aware. Like, yeah, everybody says that.
Okay. I get it now.
Yeah, you know. So, but that's a good thing though, right? That's a good thing because I mean, she can be upset and irritated, and like noticeably so. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And immediately, nothing to do with you. I'm just in a pissy fucking mood, you know, because of X, Y, Z, and I don't know what the fuck else, but nothing to do with you. And I'm like, cool, okay. I mean, all right, anything you want to talk about? No, not really. Okay, all right, cool. You know, like, I mean, it's decent to know, like, I mean, because a lot of people like to kind of like project their shit, like when they're going through something. You know, they like to kind of project that emotion towards like whoever's like right in front of them and, you know, start nitpicking shit just to get irritated at that person. And then something that isn't something becomes something. And then, yeah, it's kind of fucked. So it's a point that I am very appreciative of, to be quite honest. So we had a planned topic, but I'm not feeling it. No.
Okay.
Like,
I'm easy.
You really need to reevaluate when you say that statement.
It's contextually valid. It's.
I'm giving you shit. Oop, what I hit buttons. So yeah, that's another thing I do.
yeah, he does that like a lot. Yeah. So what are we talking about then?
What are we talking about? Well, the first thing, actually, so the one thing that I want to start the show out with, I don't want to do it at the end of the show, is so one of the things that's going to, like, I really want to kind of lay in this week is the tarot readings for each show, right? And I want to do them at the beginning because it kind of sets the tone for the show, right? So I was thinking you could start out with a read. Okay.
Yeah, I'll go grab the deck.
There you go. I mean, I don't know if we should do that live on YouTube, but, you know, go grab the deck.
I'm going to trip over the mongoose. I'm going to put the mongoose back by mongoose.
Yeah, goodbye, Mongoose. See you later, Mongoose. There we go. We got rid of the Mongoose, guys.
I should probably start integrating different decks. Because I use this same one. Just hold that for me.
Sure.
I used the same one last time, but this is just because this is the one that's always up there on the fireplace. But we have fucking loads, so I should probably start like
going through kind of cycling
choosing like Mystic does. So
yeah,
I don't think I have as many as Mystic.
I don't think anyone has as many as Mystic. I think he's got upwards like 400 decks or something.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. What? How many tarot decks do you like actually need? I mean,
he says it's a Virgo thing.
I mean, it is a cool collecting hobby. Like, it's a cool thing to collect.
I think it can get ridiculously expensive, though.
No, yeah, definitely.
You know what, Paranormal? I think that is a really good option.
What, Barry?
Yeah, she wants to call Mongoose, Barry the Mongoose.
I'm gonna keep it as Mr. Mongoose. I suppose Barry can be another name for him. You can call him Barry if you want, but I'm gonna stick to Mr. Mongoose.
You're gonna stick to Mr. Mongoose,
yeah.
Okay. If you had any haters in regards to you two being a power couple?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Apart from the obvious, but
yeah,
that's more of like us being a couple as a whole, rather than like being a couple on YouTube.
Yeah.
So, first of all, in this reading, we have the Two of Pentacles. So, the Pentacles cover kind of practical, earthly matters, and you can see the guy in the middle is juggling these pentacles. And you probably can't see it on the camera, but like there's a lot of like ocean going on in the background. So I feel like the water imagery is really interesting considering this is like an earth card. But for me, like what this is showing up as is like managing to maintain a balance amongst the chaos. So it's sort of like not allowing the chaos around you to affect the stability of your relationship. It's kind of like zooming in on your relationship and taking care of those aspects without allowing the chaos to interfere with your availability to others, and how you're treating other people and how you're showing up in your relationships. Whoops. We then have the Hierophant in reverse, which is really weird because this is coming up for me a lot at the moment. I've had the Hierophant in reverse appear so much in my readings. And what this means to me is whenever I see the Hierophant in reverse, I'm thinking about breaking tradition, breaking what's expected, going off the path a little bit. So this might be a case of having some kind of maybe resistance, because the Hierophant in reverse can also represent rebellion as well. So I think it's a little bit like rebelling against perhaps what other people expect of you or other people's opinions of what's going on in your relationships. And it is the Hierophant in the verse is very much this energy of like just stop caring about what other people think. And again, this kind of relates to the chaos in this card in the background, not allowing, this is the approach to take with it, with that said chaos. And then we have the Six of Cups, which is a lovely way to end this reading, because the Six of Cups is all about happy memories and reconnecting with things that you love. So, about spending quality time. And it can be, when this is a relationship reading, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, but it could mean reconnecting with family members, spending a bit more quality time with friends, just doing like what makes you feel connected, not just to other people, but also to yourself as well, like that kind of energy exchange you know, not giving, also receiving at the same time. So I think with this reading, it's a lot about just like really zoning in and not allowing interferences. That's kind of like the overall message, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's always going to be static, right? Like, I mean, like in anything you do, I think, like one of the things that we do well with each other, like bouncing off of each other, is like in as far as content creation is concerned, just kind of like the static that we get from people, you know, on different content that we make, right? Like, you know, so like, and sorry, I was coughing, like the vape. Like she just like we ran out of vape juice and she found this random like I don't know how old like pineapple flavored vape juice in one of her like bags that she hasn't used in like 10 years. And like that thing is like it is clicking on my throat like crazy, you know. So I grabbed my nasty one because the nasty one doesn't tickle my throat as much.
It stinks as well, that one.
Oh, it's absolutely disgusting, but you know.
Desperate times.
Desperate measures.
Desperate times for nicotine addicts.
Yep. So, but I think like, especially like, it's just general like content static, you know, like that we get from people. Like, so for those of you that have been paying attention, like I've been doing kind of like a daily video for my kid, right?
Hi, Sarah.
What's up, Divination Witch? So I just have a habit of calling people by like their screen names, like, cause like I don't like anyone knowing like what my name is. So, you know, so yeah, if you're,
his name's Barry.
Yeah, there you go. My name's Barry Allen. And for those of you that get it, you're my people. I think the only one in the chat that's going to get that is Maeve. I think Maeve is the only one to know who Barry Allen is. So, you know, like I've been doing like these regular like everyday videos for my kid, right? You know, just like, hey, you know, I love you, you know, hope you're okay, stuff like that. And, you know, somebody put a message, like a comment on there, like, oh, you need to shave your beard and take that thing out of your nose. And I'm like, what? Like, you know, and it doesn't really affect me. Like, I mean, I've had, like, I've been having people tell me how I should dress and look like my entire life, you know, big surprise. But it's cool to like be able to kind of like bounce those things off, and like every time she gets like a dumbass comment, she's like, oh, check this out, and like, you know, tells me about it. So you're always going to get static. I mean, that's just one example. You're always going to get static whenever you're doing something for yourself at any level. You're always going to get static for it from somewhere. And I think like one big thing that's extremely important in those situations is to remember why you're doing what it is that you're doing, you know. And it's not to say to completely ignore the static, because I think that that's kind of impossible to completely ignore the static that you're getting, but to kind of like not let it deter you from what it is that you're doing. Like take it in, analyze it, see if there's anything valid in it, but don't let it deter you, you know. And that's especially true in relationships, right? I mean, any relationship, right? But there's always going to be static. There's always going to be that like one or two people that are going to be like, you know, just like the chaos and want to bring you back into chaos, you know, from your peace. And, you know, it's important not to let those things, you know, leak in. Right? You know, it's not to allow those things to affect you, and affect how you're doing things. You know, I mean, there's an example recently. I mean, I don't know if we want to talk about that though.
Yeah, I mean, I can talk about it.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, we're not mentioning names though.
No, of course not. But yeah, something happened this week which got me in a very pissy mood. Which was a friend of mine. I kind of we were just sort of like catching up over messaging or whatever. You know, I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. She's been working, and yeah, I kind of just expressed a few things that were going on for me and Atius personally, and that, you know, there's been some really difficult stuff. And when I share things, I'm not looking for opinions unless I ask, you know, what do you think? And despite not asking what she thought, she you know, expressed some quite strong opinions about what was going on. And yeah, I mean, it pissed me off quite a bit. And I had to kind of put my foot down a bit and just say, look, like, you, no. I didn't react in a way that was aggressive or angry or nasty or anything. I just, you know, sort of put a boundary down and was just sort of like, nah. And yeah, later that week, I saw her in person, and I kind of realized where it all came from. It was from what she was going through, what she is going through, and she's going through a really painful time. I don't think she meant to project anything, but, you know, that's kind of what she ended up doing. And you know, I'm just glad I managed to pause and not take it personally, and also, like, sort of block that noise out of my head and not allow what she was saying to, you know, affect my reality.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. Yeah. I think like an important thing to learn, like in situations like that, like, is to understand and, like, to be able to control your reactions. Like, it's normal to feel things, right? Like, I've never been someone that says control your emotions, because I don't think you can. Like, I don't think you can necessarily control your emotions. Like,
you can't help the way that you feel about something, even if it is irrational.
It's just you can control how you react to that emotional state of being. You know, and I mean, Mystic would like to say that, like, you know, if a repeated situation, you can learn how to control your emotions. But I mean, even then, I don't think you can. Like, I think, like, you either feel it the same or you feel it more if the same thing keeps happening, right? You know, it's just you learn how to control yourself better, and you might be able to learn how to control yourself sooner, so you don't necessarily. Because one thing I've noticed is, I mean, I can be having a conversation with someone and that person could be pissing me off. But I've noticed that if I keep my calm and I keep my head, you know, right from the get-go, like, I don't get as pissed off. I don't get as upset because I'm maintaining control of myself and my reactions from the get-go. And I think, like, in any situation, that's important, because we're definitely not, like, the type of people that think that, like, you shouldn't be offended, right? Like, we're very conservative in that way, right? Or traditional in that way, in the sense that, you know what? There's gonna be shit out there gonna piss you off. Like, you're going to get offended. Like, you can't avoid getting offended. Like, being offended is part of life, right? Like, you can't avoid being offended. And to try to avoid being offended is just stupid, right? Because, yeah, you know, and you know, this is different from, like, intentionally trying to offend people. Like, I mean, there's a line there, right? Like, there's a short list of things that you can do that are definitely going to offend everybody, and to do that just for the sake of doing it is kind of like just dumb. But you can't avoid being offended, but you can control your reactions to how you feel about being offended, right? And I think that that's something, like, in this generation that's, like, just kind of missing, is that idea of, like, controlling your reactions to your emotions and not making yourself a victim because somebody said something that you don't agree with. And I think that, you know, that's how people should be living, is controlling them, like, controlling their reactions. I think the left-hand path, like, especially if you consider yourself as somebody on the left-hand path, trying to be the victim is counterintuitive to the left-hand path. There are certain situations that you're definitely going to be considered a victim, but to intentionally try to victimize yourself through everything that happens in your life, or everything that happens externally to you that you have no control over, you know, is just I don't know. It's just ludicrous in my opinion. You know, victims we are not. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I think that that's just kind of like absolute ridiculousness. You know, and it's something. I mean, you and I have like I think you and I have talked about that at length, right? About like how, you know, the victim mentality doesn't fit into, you know, the left-hand path at all, and I think there's too much of it. You know, and it kind of creates a situation where. I mean, you can be left-hand path, but your opinions and your ideas might be considered right-wing by a lot of people. And it's kind of something that kind of throws people off kilter, right? Like when you have these ideas that people consider or would think that are conservative ideas, conservative values, traditional values, you know, and then they sit there and tell you, oh, you can't be an occultist if you think that way about this, or you can't be a goth if you think this way about that, or you can't be a metalhead if you, like, I mean, really? Like, we can't be these things because we think one way about something else?
Yeah, I think it's a bit kind of like off topic. Well, not off topic, but probably a little bit off occult. But I think it's hilarious that there's this thing happening on TikTok, or like was a couple of months ago, where like people were saying you can't be goth if you're conservative, or like you can't be goth if you think this, you can't be goth if you buy from this place, and I'm there like, I was dressing goth from like the age of like 9, and you're telling me this shit. Like, I know if anyone's been you know, following me for a while, you know that I have had a few sort of like normality phases where I've not been so goth, but it's definitely kind of like at the core of my sort of aesthetic and fashion sense for sure. It's me going away from that has been a lot to do with like masking. I think very much to do with like autistic masking. But anyway, I just think it's funny when people kind of tell you what to think and that you can't be a certain way if you think this or do this, and it's when you've actually been doing it for longer than they have.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it kind of falls into, you know, I think there are certain things that require gatekeeping and then other things that don't. Right? And there's a certain level of gatekeeping that's happening in situations like that where people are saying, well, you can't think this way about this thing and, you know, not, you know, and be this thing, right? You can't because it's inherently this or it's inherently that. So talking about the whole goth thing, people are obsessed with this idea that goth is inherently political. And it's like, understand where goth came from. So they think that goth, the goth movement is inherently political because goth comes from punk, right? From like, you know, 70s, 80s punk. And 70s, 80s punk and punk in and of itself is highly political, highly political. It's unavoidable. But goth came off the coattails of the punk movement to focus on the music, not the politics. Where punk had music in it, and it's definitely, there was a musical movement, its music and the movement were highly political. Goth rode off of the coattails of punk to move away from the political aspect of it to focus on the music and the art aspect of the culture. That's where goth kind of spun off from. And so by trying to interject politics into goth, it essentially destroys the subculture, because the subculture came off a point. It's like, okay, we're done with the politics. We're done. We're out. We're out, man. Like, we don't want it. We just want to focus on the fun shit. right? And that's kind of like where goth kind of sprung off from. And so like I had so many people say, well, no, goth is inherently political because it came from punk. It's like you got that shit backwards, man. Like it is not political because it came from punk. It's not political because it came off of punk, right? And so yeah, it's a big thing. The same thing with like with the occult. Like I mean, it's funny. Like with certain political views, like I mean, people are telling you that you can't be an occultist, like if you're, you know, even slightly right leaning, right? If you have slightly conservative views on anything, you can't be an occultist. You can't be, you know, you can't be a goth. You can't be a metalhead. And it's like where do you guys get this stuff from?
I think there's a huge misconception about what it means to be right-leaning and left-leaning, because everyone thinks it's about social issues, and it's not. You can be conservative in your social issues and then left-leaning in other things, and vice versa.
Well, it's like, I'm just gonna go ahead.
Because when it comes to your values as a person, Nightmo, it's the whole thing of like, it's not just about the social stuff, it's about how you think the family should, like what your family values, in terms of like how your country is run. It's like, you know, immigration, taxes, public health. So I think where people get so caught up in the social issues, that's because that's what people are most focused on and offended by. So it's just because that is so narrowed in on at the moment, it's the social issues. Yeah.
I mean, I think like when we talk about like kind of politics, like I think it's like a fun aspect of this is like, so like, I mean, I've never been to England before, so this is my first time in England, and yeah, politically speaking, it's kind of ridiculous over here.
It's crazy.
Like somebody said some crazy shit on Facebook like not too long ago about Islam or Muslims or something. I don't know specifically what was said, but I mean it was some off-color shit, and they actually went to jail
for 20 months, and a child sex offender got less.
Was it 6 months? 6 months.
6 months.
And what was it? What was the other term? Because like
it was a suspended sentence.
That's a suspended sentence. So he didn't even go into jail.
No.
Like he didn't even see the inside of a jail cell. So, but I mean, and that's just like ridiculous to me. Like, okay, I am 100% like against like people being assholes, right? Like, you know, racism, you know, xenophobia, Islamophobia, all that shit, you know, whatever terms you want to use. I think it's disgusting. I think it's ridiculous. You know, I think, you know, judging somebody because of their beliefs, you know, in going too far with that is just absolutely ridiculous. Now, do I think you should go to jail because you posted a comment? Fuck no. No, I don't. I don't think that that's a crime. And like, there's this British guy that I like to watch on TikTok that made a comment on it. And it's almost like he was kind of afraid to say that he thinks that people shouldn't be jailed because of their opinions. And so he says, yeah, they definitely should be punished. No, you should not be punished for speaking out an opinion, right? Like politically speaking, legally speaking. Socially, that's a completely different story. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom of consequence, right? So you say some stupid off-colored shit, then you're going to have to deal with the social consequences of saying stupid off-colored shit. But do I think that people should be going to jail because they're saying stupid off-colored shit? No, fuck no. No, not at all. Right? You know, or the fact that, you know, any type of self-defense in this country is like equally as a crime, like defense is equally a crime as offense.
Pepper spray is considered an illegal firearm.
That is just insane to me.
Our best bet for self-defense is a rape alarm. We're not allowed anything.
That's just crazy to me. Like that's just crazy. Like I'm sorry. Like I mean.
So when I see Americans complaining about their rights, I get a little bit irritated because you don't know how good you have it.
I mean,
So you come here.
Yeah, this is true. Like, I mean, I think this is one big problem a lot of Americans have is like a lot of Americans don't realize, how good we have it over in the States until you like really start to like pay attention to like other countries and stuff like that. Like everybody wants to rattle on about the free healthcare and stuff like that in places like Canada and here in England and stuff like that. And I suppose that there's like a level of decency to it, right? But my experience with free healthcare in Mexico was horrendous, right? I mean, there are people dying in waiting rooms because they have to like go to one central spot to get seen by a doctor for free, and there's so many people that are there, like it's first come first serve, right? So you're just waiting forever to be able to get seen by someone, and there are people that are in there that are an emergency case, but because they don't have the manpower to actually individually check people on importance or severity of their symptoms, people end up dying in the fucking waiting room.
Yeah, you remember that day I had to go to hospital. And when I phoned, they said it is about a 5-hour window for an ambulance.
5 hours.
Because obviously I wasn't dying, but I still did need an ambulance. Like, I needed to be taken to hospital. I couldn't drive there myself. So I had to have a friend drop me to the hospital. And it's lucky I was with someone.
Yeah.
If I was on my own, I would have had to wait that 5 hours for that ambulance. So yeah, it's shit like that. You know?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. No. That's when you found out you had a kidney infection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which isn't a non-serious thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
You leave that shit, you're in danger.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's definitely, I don't know, like the things. Another thing that kind of has thrown me completely off kilter over here. I will never not tell anyone this. So if you're not British, you probably don't know this, or if you never lived here, you probably don't know this, but you need a fucking license to watch TV. Like on anything. Like if you have a laptop and you use your laptop to watch Netflix, and you need a TV license, which is enforced by the fucking BBC. So the fact that the government here, is allowing
right, Sarah,
a commercial organization to implement a license to do something, and then they have the audacity to send you a letter stating that to watch TV without a license is a criminal offense.
Yeah, we got a letter today. We actually got that through the door today.
Yeah.
They said this property is under investigation because you're not paying for a TV license. And we actually only got a TV about 2 weeks ago, and they were still sending us letters before that. And they go, we're going to come around and do an inspection. It's just like, go on then. Come here. But the thing is, they don't. It's all a threat. It's extortion. It's extortion through the mail, which is just fucking crazy. I don't see that lasting another 5 years. I think the government are just going to fucking wipe it out. And the thing is that they can't do anything. They can't send the police round to say, you're not paying your TV license, because they are a private company. They're not of the government. So it's all just a massive scam, basically.
Yeah.
And if they come to your door, and which they rarely do, they do come to your door, you're not obliged to let them in. If they say, can we come in, and you say no, they're not allowed to force entry or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, jaywalking is kind of like an off one, Divination Witch, but I mean, jaywalking does kind of have its own purpose, though, at least in certain places. So the crosswalk, or what we call a crosswalk, what do you guys call it?
A crossing.
A crossing, okay. We call it a crosswalk.
I remember the first time you said crosswalk. I think I laughed about that for a good 10 minutes.
Yeah, you did. So the crosswalk is a designated safe area to cross the street in high traffic areas. So what it's designed to do is designed to put kind of like a legal limitation, or kind of like a point of being, maybe I can get fined for this type thing, and force you to walk on the crosswalk where it is designated safe for you to cross when the lights are red. Because when you jaywalk, meaning crossing the street where there is no crosswalk.
I did that in Texas loads of times.
Yeah, it's barely enforced. It's
Right.
barely enforced, but it's done so because if you're in a high traffic area, sometimes you're not paying attention, and it's both for the cars and for the people. Because if you cross in the middle of the road and a car is speeding, it's going to be less likely they're going to have time to stop. But coming up to a crosswalk, they know they're coming up to it because there's signs that say they're coming up to a crosswalk, which means the car has to force to slow down. Like even if they're going at a high speed, to check to make sure nobody's crossing the street. Right? So the whole law for jaywalking is just to kind of try to keep people safe. You know, though it's barely ever enforced. Now, the only time I've ever actually seen someone arrested for jaywalking is because the police wanted to arrest him for something else, but they didn't have proof.
Fair enough. Here in Texas, you can't jaywalk. It's a crime, but people do it all the time. Yeah, I did it in Texas, not knowing that it was a thing. Like, I literally came out of the fucking hotel I was staying in, crossed the road to the gas station.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, jaywalking, it's like, it's you know, it's a thing everywhere. Like, I mean, New York State, it's the same thing. Like, jaywalking it's considered a crime, but it's not a crime that you can go to jail for. It's a finable offense, right? You're not like gonna get 6 months in jail. I think it's like a $200 fine or something like that. Like, if you get busted for jaywalking, you know. It could happen anywhere, though. It's like people need common sense. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I think they've enforced it because Americans generally don't have common sense.
That's not fair. I'm sorry. Look at the state of the government here. I'd like to think that we have more common sense. So, you know, it's burn. Yeah, it was. That was you know, that was a deep one. That was a deep one. You know, but you know, it's I don't know. Like when I think of England as an American, I think of the birthplace of punk, the punk movement, right? Like the fucking Sex Pistols, you know, shit like that, you know, like that's what I think about, you know, the whole fucking God Save the Queen thing, right? And you know, I think of political unrest, you know, like if you think about it, us as Americans, shit, I mean, we got kicked the fuck out. Right? Like the colonies became colonies because not because like, you know, we decided to leave like most Americans like to say, you know, like, oh yeah, we stood against the taxes, the 2% tax, and we left. No, we didn't leave. We got kicked the fuck out. They're like, fine, you don't like it, get out. Right? And you know, they sent us over there. Camden ain't the same now.
No,
though.
it's not. We have been to Camden.
Yeah.
We haven't really been around though. Like we went to Raven Records and we went to Underworld for
a concert.
Although last time we were in Camden, we went to go for dinner and there was this woman, this little old Chinese woman walking towards us, and she was like, I don't know, she was saying some shit and she was just going like, oh, can you like. Because like she was walking towards us and we were like trying to make room for her on the pavement. So I moved out the way and she went, "Thank you, you fucking idiot." So that's Camden for you.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. Definitely a thing. I mean, it's definitely like, I mean, it's just, I don't know. Like
we did go to Treadwell's. We did, and you bought me a lovely book, didn't you?
Yeah. I did.
Oh, did we go to Treadwell's or did we go to Watkins? I think we went to Watkins, actually.
Watkins.
Yeah, no, we went to Watkins.
That's what it was. Yeah. But I mean, I think like so far, my experience here, like looking at it as just like objectively, you know, from outside. I'm kind of disappointed. Like I really am. I'm kind of disappointed because, like, again, like I'm gonna say, like when I think of England, I think of the birthplace of political unrest. You know, I like it's the birthplace of freedom of speech. You know, it's like the first people that fought for freedom of speech were here, and it's the last thing you fuckers have. You know, it's like the government and the legal system has done absolutely everything in its power to make sure that you do not have freedom. And I don't understand, like, it is, this is, there are not many hills that I'm willing to die on, and this is a hill that I will die on this hill. Freedom of speech is the single most important human right for anyone to have. If your freedom of speech, regardless of the speech that you're putting out there, right? Because I'm one of those people that think it's okay to let idiots say stupid shit because at least you know who the idiots are, right? Because if you stop the idiots from saying stupid shit publicly, then they go underground and now you don't know what's happening.
This was the whole thing. We've been watching this drama at the moment, and it's about this. It's based on like a true story, and it's based on this like far right group, like neo-Nazis and stuff, and this like organization called like Hope Not Hate or something, trying to sort of like infiltrate them and basically know what they've got going on so that they can put in preventative measures. And this organization really didn't want this neo-Nazi group to be banned or go underground because it'd be harder to keep track of what they were doing. And the group did get banned.
Yep. And then the comment from the government was great. It's like, well, now that this group has been disbanded and no longer eradicated, and it no longer is as powerful as it was, it's like just because you said out loud it's illegal.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it disappears. It's
this whole thing about like banning things. Like you can't ban things to stop them from existing. It just goes underground. It's like with drugs, you know?
Yeah, or guns. Like, I mean, guns are like, I mean, most, like, it seems like most knives are like banned here, right?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, but tell me something. You banned guns, you're banning knives. I guarantee you there are people that still have guns. You know?
The amount of stabbings that happen every single day in London is terrifying.
Look, I mean, there's this dude in China. China's another country that banned guns for the citizens. Only police and the military can have guns. And it's almost impossible to get a gun in China. Like, I mean, like that's where it's really hard. You know, communism. But there's a Chinese guy a couple years back that went on a stabbing spree. Now, I mean, I've never heard of a stabbing spree. I've heard of a shooting spree. But this dude literally went on a stabbing spree. And I guess he killed something like 7-8 people before like the police actually stopped him.
Wow.
With a kitchen knife. You know, point is like, you know, if somebody wants to kill somebody, they're going to kill him. Like, they're going to find a way to kill him. Right? You know, it's just, it is what it is, right? You know, I don't know. Like, I mean, if you look at like the United States, yes, there's a lot of gun crime, sadly. But it also, if you look at states like Texas, for example, Texas is one of the safest states in the United States. El Paso, Texas, if I'm not mistaken, up until recently has been like the safest city in the United States. And they have like the most lax gun laws in the country. Everybody's got a fucking gun. And here's the thing. Guns exist. You know, knives exist, swords exist, things. Banning these things doesn't miraculously make them not exist. The only thing that doing that does is it stops good people that would use them in defense of other good people from being able to have them. And you create a situation where criminals, keyword there, people, they're criminals, right? Can still find ways to illegally obtain firearms. And The only thing that's going to happen is you no longer have good people with the same capability. That's the only thing that happens. And so this idea of if you ban something, you miraculously make it no longer exists, it's not true. You know, it's like with the whole nuclear scare with Russia, people are like, a lot of people, like one of her friends asked her, like, well, why do these things even exist? Right? It's because they do. Nuclear weapons exist. You can't, once the cat's out of the bag, you can't put it back in.
Because why do nuclear weapons exist? Because when you drop the bomb on Hiroshima, everyone shat themselves and were like, we need to get some of them in case it happens to us.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and you know that's I mean, that's one of the things. I mean, honestly, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, I think, like, I mean, Russia stopped Germany. Hiroshima and Nagasaki stopped the war. Like, the entire world stopped moving for a few minutes when that shit happened. Because I don't even think, like, honestly, like, the people that were involved in the Manhattan Project even fully understood the capabilities of the weapons that they were making.
Mm-hmm.
And when they saw the level of devastation that happened when those two bombs dropped, I think it's the only time in history that the United States actually eventually apologized, like, formally to the world, like, on a public stage. Like, they're like, we're sorry, we fucked up, you know? Like, because the United States has done a lot of fucked up shit and they've never apologized for it. They apologized for that, you know? And so it's one of those things that once the cat's out of the bag, you can't put it back in. You know, you just can't. And unfortunately, human beings, we have an instinctive need for self-destruction. And as a part of that instinctive need of self-destruction, we create weapons of mass destruction. We create tools of death. And once those tools of death are created, you can't put them back. You just can't. So the worst thing you can do is to take that out of the hands of people that are willing to counteract the things that, you know, other people are doing. I remember there was this situation in Texas, paranormal, you might remember this. There was a shooter that showed up at a church service, and he had an AR-15. He went into church and he starts shooting off some rounds. And a neighbor to the church, like a guy that just lived next door to the church, heard some shots going off inside the church. Ran in his house in his, like, fucking bathrobe, grabbed his AR-15, went into the church and shot the guy that was shooting up the church. He stopped something that could have been significantly worse than what it was a lot sooner than the police could. A good guy with a gun stopped a bad guy with a gun before the police could get there. 'Cause let's face it, even in El Paso, Texas, Houston, Dallas, like some of the safest cities in the country, police response times are horrendous, right? Like, you can have somebody trying to break into your house, and by the time the police actually respond to your 911 call, you're probably already dead. You know, so and I know it's stuff that people don't want to hear. People don't want to hear it, but, you know, I'm American. I'm Northeastern. You know, we like our guns. Me and my family. I come from a family that hunts. You know, it's part of how I grew up. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, I'm in love with guns or like what most people think of Americans, but I will say I have a very healthy respect, right, of the tool and what it's for. And, you know, I was taught at a very young age, you know, when it comes to a gun, when it comes to a firearm, you know, it's not a toy. You never, if you point a gun at someone or something, you better be 100% certain that you are ready, willing, and able to kill whatever it is that you're pointing that gun at, because that's what that gun is for. And that instills, a little fear, but that fear creates respect and understanding, right? And I think the thing is like, if there was more of a gun culture, more of a respect for it, then I think there would be less issue. And a lot of the laws and things like that people talking about with like, gun control, a lot of those laws already exist. They're already on the books. They're just not enforced. So what we need is not more gun laws or more gun restriction. What we need is more enforcement. Like, that's what we need in the United States. We need more enforcement of the laws that are already on the books, and then we can re-examine the situation. But until the laws that are already on the books are enforced 100%, what's the point in creating new laws that are probably not going to get enforced anyway? First, you got to enforce the ones that are already there, right? And I think that a lot of the things that people are asking to be done as far as gun laws are concerned, it's already there. It just needs to be enforced. But yeah, I mean, that's completely off topic, but I think it's absolutely crazy that here in England, like it's just in the state that it's in. Like, I'm disappointed. England, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm disappointed. Like, I mean, this is not what I thought of when I would think of England. And I think the most depressing part of it is people are okay with it. Like, I mean, you go to the United States and there's American flags everywhere. I think I've been here for a month now, and I think I've seen 2 British flags. I mean, there's a Santa flag hanging next to on the neighbor's house, but
that is usually a British flag that they've got there.
Oh yeah,
the Santa flag. On
okay.
Christmas. Yeah. Yeah, I think. I mean, I love my country, but I'm disappointed in my country as well. Very much so. I'm disappointed in my government, both under Conservative and Labour leadership. Both, I think, have just been fucking shit, really, to sum it up. It's difficult having conservative values but your conservative government is a heap of shit. Yeah, even our politics is very different. Yep, very, very different. It's not... I don't even know how to describe it, but it is just so different. Mm-hmm. And just our politicians are fucking wet wipes.
I mean, it's just the fact that like my biggest gripe is just the fact that it feels like it's a situation where people aren't able to have a conversation. A conversation isn't able to be had because people are afraid of being viewed one way or another, or being called this or being called that, or suffering legal consequences. And even as occultists, like, the thing is like, in the occult, like, I mean, a big aspect of the occult is communication with each other. We learn from it. It's word of mouth, learning from each other, like growing, things like that. And I don't know, like, I mean, I'm hoping that, like, I'm going to be here for a few more months, obviously, right? And so I'm hoping that, as time goes on, I'm able to find more things that I appreciate and, I like about this place.
You like the nature.
Yeah.
You like the fact that you can get Guinness on tap.
Yeah.
About it, really.
The construction. I like the construction. I like how the houses look and stuff like that. Like, aesthetically speaking, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Idea high fuller, therefore not allowed to carry. Cough, cough. Okay. though more experienced and respectful than most, I have seen what they can do. Hey, I mean, that's 100%. That's what that's where it's at, Camille, right? It's you do what you have to do to protect protect the people you care about, right? Regardless of what the legal system says. I mean, shit. I mean, Mexico's the same thing. In Mexico, if somebody breaks into your house and you end up killing them, you're the one that goes to jail because they call it home field advantage because it's your house. So, you know how everything's set up. But it's such a stupid concept to me.
Come see the history while you can here. Yeah, we went to a castle. There's a castle where I live. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I enjoyed that.
But yeah, we'll definitely do more.
Yeah, I just need to get me some Doc Martens though, or some decent boots, because I was wearing my sneakers and I didn't want them to get all muddy and shit. Like I've got a pair of normal sneakers, just like tennis shoes, and then I've got platform boots. And so I need to get some normal boots. So, not Docs. There's another one that make them, right? I forgot the name. I was down the rabbit hole earlier. I mean, Doc Martens are just they're just kind of like when I think of decent boots, that's what I think of. Mm. But, but anyway, guys, we're actually a little bit over our hour. This has been a good conversation. Not very occult oriented, but it's if that's the name of a boot brand, Maeve, DM it to me and I'll look them up. They don't last like they used to. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Docs used to have a lifetime warranty, a limited lifetime warranty. Like if they fucked up or broke or ripped or some shit, you could send them to Doc Marten and they would either fix them or replace them.
There's a place in Camden that does that.
Yeah. Mm. So I mean, that was my appeal with Doc Martens back in the day, because having a pair of boots that you could do that, you have a lifetime manufacturer warranty with it. So same prices as Docs, look the same, and they are the OG manufacturer. Okay, I'll look them up because I'm in the market for some good boots. But yep. That being said, thank you everybody for showing up. I greatly appreciate you guys. Are fucking amazing. I'll see you guys. We will see you guys tomorrow for Apocrypha, where you get to see the great old mystic do a reading, and then I will be doing a shadow reading on Sunday, and I'll be talking somewhere. I'll either make a video or talk about it on Sunday, the specifics behind a shadow read. I wrote a whole fucking thing about what shadow reading is, because I think a lot of people don't really get the concept. So I'll make some content built around that. Yeah, thank you guys very much. Check out demonora.com for merch. She hasn't advertised it yet.
Oh yeah, the flags.
Yeah, so we've designed and created ritual flags, right? So it is specifically designed to be hung up. It has 2 grommets that you put into you hang the flag from, but it's centered in such a way that it's actually upright. Because if you notice, most flags are designed to kind of be hanging off of a flagpole. And so the sigil or whatever's on it is horizontal with the flag. Well, this way, the flag, when it is put vertically, it's a vertical orientation with the sigil, so it works. And so that way, all of the ritual flags that we're making, we're doing the same kind of design parameters. So it's interchangeable. So it's the idea that when you're doing ritual, if you're working with Belial for a month or 2, you can do that. But then if you want to switch over to I don't know, Astaroth or whatever, you can just pop the flag off and put another one on with that sigil on it. And if you guys have any ideas about, you know, stuff that you want for ritual supplies, you know, let us know. And we're doing our best to be as competitively priced as possible. Because one thing that both of us have noticed is that ritual supplies in general are expensive as fuck. Like, it doesn't matter where you go, things for ritual, altar setup, stuff like that are ridiculously expensive. And it's difficult. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to create the most competitively priced ritual supplies on the market. One thing that's going to be coming is I'm going to be getting a 3D printer. I don't know if that's going to be now or later, but soon I'll be getting a 3D printer, and I'll be creating resin statues of, you know, Baphomet, Lilith, Belial, things like that. Well, I'll be making these resin statues, and because they're going to be 3D printed, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get them at really competitive pricing. So right now, I think what a Baphomet statue on Amazon from Nemesis Now, we're probably looking at what? I think 30 pounds?
Yeah.
So 30 pounds for, you know, 30 pounds, $30, depending on like your region, whatever, for a, you know, a plaster statue of Baphomet. I'm pretty sure we could probably get, like, with using resin the same size, a resin statue of Baphomet.
And not have it look like every single other statue as well, because they all look exactly the same.
Exactly. We can easily get that maybe at 10 pounds. 15 pounds at most. So we definitely want to, you know, create the most competitively priced ritual supplies that you're going to be able to get your hands on. Like that's the goal. Like, because generally speaking, it's all the same shit. It's just everybody puts it through the roof. Like, I've seen these ritual flags, the ritual flags that go over your altar. I can't find them for like under 45 pounds, right? 50 pounds. I think that's fucking ridiculous. And then the ones that are cheaper, they're like 10 pounds, are like just cheap or just horrible quality. So we're trying to strike this balance between really good quality and competitive pricing. Then the ritual flags are kind of like the start on that. So demonora.com, ritual flags are up. You can buy them. I think we've got 3-4 of them up right now. There's Boone, or Bune, Baphomet, Belial, and I think King Payman. I think Payman's up there.
Night, Sarah.
So anyway, that being said, that's it, guys. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for hanging out. Love you guys. You guys are fucking amazing. And as always, LA fucking self. See you in the next one. Peace the fuck out.